What's my name? Hi, everybody. Welcome to the What's My Name show. My name is Chemda, and today's guest is me. This is Libby's idea, who's actually going to be interviewing me this time in, I think, what we're calling a reverse What's My Name?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I'm going to be sitting here as long as this tumor is in me and maybe afterwards. And I think your idea is to sort of keep the story together.
Yeah, it'll be kind of a progress check, updates, part like just a snapshot of where you are, because I'm sure some things will change, some things will stay the same, and I think it'll just be interesting to see how it goes.
Will be more funny, some things will be less funny.
Mm-hmm. And it's, a place to specifically talk about it because obviously it's going to come up on the show, Keith and the Girl, but it, isn't going to be devoted entirely to the tumor at all times.
No, yeah. There's only so much you can do on a comedy show without bringing it down constantly.
Mm-hmm. And also just for the guest's sake, too, of they're concerned and they probably want to know what's going on. But then the audience is like, yeah, we've heard this.
Right. Can't fill them in on every episode.
Right.
Yeah.
So this will be the place for that, I figured.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So you've covered a lot of this on the show, including the kind of announcement, which you already let the cat out of the bag, but
I have a tumor the size of a grapefruit. I actually want to get the x-ray, and I think I could. We were supposed to stop at customer service on the way out of the biopsy, and they would have gotten us all the pictures of everything I wanted, but I couldn't imagine standing waiting at customer service for a picture. I imagine they could just email it to me. So if you look at the x-ray of my lung, on the left side, it looks totally different than on the right. So I forget which one it's supposed to be like. One's supposed to be light. The other one's supposed to be light.
Okay, let's just back up for a second because you're jumping so far ahead here. Let's start at the beginning. So to recap, you had a cough.
Yeah.
So let's start there. So you had a similar cough in January, right?
Yeah. At the end of January, it was hard to breathe. I was wheezing all night, but I waited. I didn't have insurance at the time. So I waited for the City MD to open because that's like an emergency for non-911 emergencies. And Keith actually suggested it because they charge $125, $150 for what you could have been waiting all night at the ER for. And to me, I was like, okay, something definitely needs to happen. This isn't manageable. So I went there and they gave me a
nebulizer?
A nebulizer, which is just me breathing in some medicine that will help open up my lungs and help me breathe again.
Worked and it helped?
Pretty much right away. I sat there for 15 minutes with it. I think they sent me home with a prescription for an inhaler, but again, I didn't have insurance, so I'm like, well, I could breathe, and if I can't breathe, I have, this option for an inhaler. And then I was fine.
So there wasn't like an ongoing problem?
No, I don't have an ongoing cough. I don't have, any pain in my throat or in my lungs,
So then recently about it was Wednesday. I have here Wednesday the 17th, so that must be it. Yeah. Your cough was so bad. I mean, you had a cough that week.
It actually started the night before. We went to see Hennessy's play, and the whole time in the play.
Oh, that's right. You had like a tickle in your throat.
Yeah, that's all it felt like.
So annoying. We've all had that.
Exactly. Yeah. And for 70 minutes, I can't clear my throat. So that's all I thought it was just this thing that I can't get past because there's not, there's no music in this. There's just people talking. And if you clear your throat, you're the star of the show.
Right.
So I was just, kind of holding it back. I didn't have enough water, all this shit.
Yeah.
So afterwards,
you gave it a good cough.
Gave it a good cough. But, and you even slept over that night. I was afraid that I was keeping you up, but you're half deaf, which
I can't hear shit.
Yeah, it worked really well. I coughed for like 2 hours or something.
Yeah, I remember you were exhausted the next morning and I was like, holy shit. Cause you didn't seem sick or anything.
No, I just stayed up. It just wouldn't go away. And then the next morning I woke up extra early just to cough for another 2 hours.
It's strange too, because usually with a cough like that, there are other symptoms. Like it's not like you didn't, your nose wasn't running. You didn't
no
seem
headaches.
flu-ish or.
Yeah. The only headaches I started getting was you cough so much, you give yourself a headache.
Sure.
And so again, I was thinking like something's not passing. You know, who wants to go to a doctor because
Yeah.
you're coughing? But it was so bad and I was so tired. I was thinking of canceling. But on Wednesdays, we do 2 shows.
Yeah.
You know, canceling on a day's work is just not worth it. It's just, you know, there's so much tied to it. There's not just me and Keith who are doing a show. There's advertisers that we left to, you know, so we could not pack each show with ads. There's Danny is already at the studio. There is you booked the show, the people who set aside time for it, like all this kind of stuff.
There's a lot of elements. Yeah.
Yeah. So all I want to do is just do 2 shows. I don't have to do any other thing. I won't do my emails. I won't do anything that, you know, is not time sensitive. And of course, I'm like, ugh, I'm coughing through the show. I'm being disgusting. I'm trying to be subtle. And it's again that like, don't cough. Wait until there's like a giant laugh, but nobody wants to laugh because of Laughgate 2016. So I'm not getting any chances to clear it. Keith is on the mute button every other minute, but I don't want to be left out of the conversation. So, you know, I just feel like, and then that's it. And then.
So you got through the shows.
Felt bad because Aunt Betsy and, you know, Mom were over and I felt like I was, you know, fighting to be like a more personable person. And I'm like, what's wrong with me?
You couldn't breathe.
I know, but and then I started really not breathing on the way out, and I was going.
Did you bike home that day?
No.
Okay.
And I knew something was wrong when I didn't bike home.
Yeah.
Because I was like, wow, I really can't breathe just going up the stairs of the subway. I know that there are hills on the way home that are going to be too much for me. So, I wish I thought of going to City MD before it was closed. But by the time I called the doctor, they told me to get to the hospital because I was wheezing so bad.
Right. So at that point, did you just think this is the same thing as before? Yeah. Was it that severe before?
Yeah, it was actually,
okay.
It was worse and I didn't want it to get worse. That's why I went to the hospital. The last time I was wheezing so much, it was like, a panic attack after a panic attack. And I'm just trying to stay calm the whole night so that I don't inflame it and I don't have to cough anymore. And you're just trying to stay as calm as possible. I didn't want to go through that. And I have insurance now, but I've seen what New York emergency rooms looks like.
Yeah.
It is death. And I'd rather wheeze all night.
Right.
But this guy told me to go. He told me to go.
Yeah. Well, not breathing is pretty serious. Did you have any fears at that point that it was something serious, or you really just thought like, oh, I've been through this before, you know, it'll be easily taken care of?
Yeah, because the nebulizer worked last time. And I figure I picked up some sort of version of asthma in my adult life from some sort of pollen or
also the air here in New York, you know, it's like,
and it was on that kind of day where I was like, oh, on this kind of day it's hard to breathe anyway. If I was running, I'd be wheezing. Like, you know, it's in hindsight, I think I did, like, and I'm jumping ahead, but now when I think about it, I'm like, maybe I did feel my lung and I just thought it was that kind of day or something.
Yeah, you can't second guess yourself. Yeah. And also, like, you know, you had been through it before. It seemed manageable. I mean,
nobody was worried about it then.
Right.
Nobody took an x-ray. Nobody thought it was a symptom of something else. So no, I don't think that.
So when you went in this time, did they give you a nebulizer when you first went in? Or was that not even a step at this point?
Yeah, it was because I had diagnosed myself. They seemed like, and a nebulizer wouldn't hurt me if I'm
sure. It's pretty gentle.
Yeah, so they gave it to me just because I was having trouble breathing. So if it works, it works. If not, we'll be right with you anyway.
So did that help at all?
Yeah, it did. Okay. Yeah, it opens up. It feels like it opens up my airwaves, and I'm able to breathe. But it wasn't going away like last time. I was still kind of coughing.
So then is that when the CAT scan happened?
No, the x-ray happened because a lot of times when you come in wheezing and coughing like that, you might have a lung infection that an x-ray can see, and then they can give you antibiotics so that it doesn't keep recurring, you know, so you really kill it. So I was like, oh, that sounds great. And I have insurance. Yes, of course, x-ray.
Right.
This way I could, you know, this doesn't have to affect my life. And when the doctor came back, I was like, oh, that's not a good poker face. Oh, God. And he was just, it was when you can see on someone's face that they're trying not to freak you out, you're just like, okay, buddy, this is really nice of you, but all right, this is definitely going to be serious. And it was. I didn't really understand what a mass was, but based on tone.
Did he, so what happened? I'm curious about the order of like that actual, if you remember, did he show you the x-ray? Did he explain it first? Like what was the order?
I don't think he brought it over.
Mm-hmm.
No, I think eventually I saw it, but I think that was, I trusted that something was happening and he described it. And so the way he described it, I should have panicked because he said the whole side didn't look like the good side, you know? So it's a grapefruit size and he's holding up his hands and showing me and I'm like, that's a lot. But in my brain, I'm thinking, well, it's a lot and I'm standing here and I feel healthy and I ride my bike. And so whatever it is, he's still standing in front of me explaining it rather than putting me on a gurney and starting me to go. So I'm like, whatever this is, this sounds manageable enough for him not to be the doctor version of freaking out.
Well, you've been managing, it's not like you were bedridden before this or anything. So I wouldn't necessarily jump to like, oh my God, this is,
Yeah. But you hear a mass, I did not equate it with a tumor at the time. And I think all these things are good. Like I didn't need to hear that, but I knew he said we're gonna have to get rid of it. They pretty much almost right away said I have to tell work, and I know when people say you have to tell work, that means there's gonna be a significant amount of time.
It's gonna be disruptive at least.
Exactly. So now that starts me worrying because I don't have a job where you take leave,
right? And
I'm worried that if I take leave and I don't have enough time or enough, energy or things take me by surprise that I will drop too many balls to come back to be able to afford a studio and my life when that's so fucking frustrating because this just constantly, and I know every artist and everybody in their day job believes this, you constantly are riding something so that you can coast for a little while.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I see the coast coming soon and I'm not going to coast this time. I'm going to super ride it because that's my 401k plan. You know what I mean? I got to get the momentum going where it has to last me through some years. And this just puts a damper on it and I can't plan for the damper. And so I can't plan, do I cancel this, that, and the next? Can we still have a marathon in January? I don't know. As far as January, that sucks.
Yeah, it's very annoying.
Yeah, really annoying.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm not going to say don't worry about it because that's absurd.
We don't know what to worry about yet.
Of course, but there's also, you have to know how many people are at the ready to jump in and support you in every way.
Yes.
Including work.
Totally.
I know it's not the same and it's not as good and it's not easy or
but it's the best.
Convenient, but it's something. It's not going to be the worst. You have support.
Yeah, and I think about, I know that other people went through this and they went back and life continues. And I do believe that if life doesn't continue the exact way that I was planning on it, then some other cool shit would happen because so far that's what happened, I was planning on being a singer, but some other cool shit happened.
Right.
This is fucking cool.
Right.
So cool shit will happen. I just know I'm about to struggle a lot. So let's see what kind of attitude I keep.
Yeah. So far, so good. So you did see the scan, though, eventually. Because
I did.
You said that now, could you tell that it looked...
Oh, yeah.
Okay. It wasn't, to the naked eye, you could tell it. It wasn't just because he had prepped you?
No. All you have to do is understand that both those sides need to look the same, and none of it looks the same. So you're like, wow, that's the whole side. That's the whole other lung is being blocked by this thing. That's a lot. But they seem to feel like there's options.
Right.
So we're just waiting for what option.
And they said, so did they say things like, it's, this size, it's between your heart and your lungs, right?
Yeah.
Stop me if I say something wrong. Or were they using any jargon where you couldn't understand what they meant?
The names of the possible outcomes, I'm not going to remember that, but that was always hard for me to remember.
They're always long, complicated names.
Exactly. Yeah. They seem like, molecules that have been put together to create like a transformer of a word that I'm never going to, I just won't remember. But I understand the gist of things. Something grew in me that was not supposed to keep growing in an adult person. Mm-hmm. And I understand it's not supposed to be there. And I understand that whether it's, it's cancer or not, it's still going to be fucked up because that is a tumor that needs to be removed. And they always, this is the scariest part, they always seem to be surprised at the size of it. And they always start saying a version of, how did you not know this for this long? But they stop themselves.
Does that freak you out?
I don't do surgery. So, I figure someone's job is to do that. What's the difference if it's an orange or a grapefruit? Like it's in one spot. You're opening up that spot or going through whatever spot to get to that spot. No. If I imagine you know how to take out one fruit, you know how to take out another. Grape size, grapefruit size.
It's all just citrus.
I'm going to be out. That's the best part of it.
You guys got this.
Good night.
So you heard the initial news, and so far, I mean, in the way you're telling it, and also obviously just now, you're calm. You're not, currently freaking out. But did you freak out at any point between the news and then? When did you start to tell people after you heard it?
First of all, I did freak out because they also said, what was it? Chemo. So I know that
as one of like the possibilities.
Yeah, I've been building up my body. I've been building up strength. Yeah. I don't want to start from this other place, right. But at the same time, I'm just like, okay, I've seen people go through chemo. I know I'm gonna look like a zombie for a little while, like. I'll probably freak myself and some other people out when I look in the mirror. I don't think I'm going to have such a good attitude then. I know it hurts. I know I'm going to throw up. That I'm way not into that. Like, wow. But
you don't deal that well with discomfort.
No.
I can't imagine that chemos would be a cakewalk, but it's not for anyone.
Right.
And you're allowed to be as fucking, annoyed about it as...
Oh, I really, every time I think about it, I'm like, please don't let it out on the wrong person at the wrong time with the wrong intensity without any hilarity behind it. Because if you're going to fucking yell at people, it better be funny. Like, I know that it's going to reach a point where I'm going to be like, I don't fucking give a shit about anybody. Like, why me? Give it to so-and-so. Like,
sure. Ooh, we'll off mic, we'll talk about who that is.
You know what I mean? Like, just... tell me I'm going to die before this motherfucker. You know what I mean? Like just looking at my timeline like, I guess you get to live, just shit like that. Just I know that it's going to go. So there's a song by Alanis Morissette.
Of course it's by Alanis.
Yes. And it's called That I Would Be Good.
Yeah.
And it's a really good one. And if there's ever a prayer, like, in the atheist world, I would imagine that is it. That's what my prayer is. And I put it on when I'm just like, hey, the worst part of like shit happening to you is you become a dick because you could feel that from the inside. Like you fucking feel your shittiness bubbling up and you're just like, I'm not this person, but here it goes. I hate you. Fuck you. Die. I don't want to turn into that. And I know that's a possibility. And I know that it's going to be temporary, but I also know that other people have to tolerate my existence, and I'm gonna want friends on the flip side of this.
You know what? You've been tolerating a lot of people's existence for a long time. If you have a couple of bad days, everyone. You know what? People have it fucking coming.
Let's list those people too.
It's gonna be a long post show after this. Don't mind me, just crying. So between the initial news, so you did freak out a little bit because of the chemo.
I think every time a doctor tells me something and they're, focused on like being very neutral doctor, I'm crying through their through their announcement. And I usually, but I'm capable of speaking to them as well. I'm just, there has been once or twice where I'm like, I'm definitely crying right now and I don't want you to get thrown by that. I'm just I'm processing this information.
Sure.
And they're totally fine. We heard about that one woman who was like, don't cry. And I'm like, I get to cry. I don't have that much trouble with it. you know? And I think I have thought of, if I wasn't 40, if I was in my 20s, I don't think I'd be ready for managing this a lot. And it's a lot that other people are going to have to manage as well. Like, you know, my brother crying. My other brother is not here. You know, Andrew's in San Francisco. And here's where, like, every time I want to get upset, here's what, you know, it's like people are not giving me room to be upset. Andrew texts me and says, I wish I was there. It sucks that I'm not. I can't really do anything, and that's terrible. But then I look at, you know, my timeline on Facebook, and it comes up with all this stuff that people are saying to you with so much love, and you know, and that affected him. He said, I feel better. I feel better looking at that. And then he listens to the show, and one of the recent shows, I asked for people's babies.
Yeah.
I just want to hold babies. I want to see your babies. I want to squish their faces. And he's like, you asked for babies, and I see babies in your timeline, and it makes me feel better. And so what do
you mean you don't have room to be upset? Because he worked himself to a good place because he sees you're being supported, and so you don't want to bring him down by being upset?
No, everyone could deal with me being upset. It's totally normal.
So what do you mean?
There's nothing to be upset about. There's like, I'm a hippie, so it's like, look how much love there is. Like, what if I died, and these are the things that I did, and that's good. But I'm also not. Nobody gave me a death sentence. I'm not near it. I imagine chemo feels like getting near it. That's gonna suck. But
well, you don't know that that's even coming yet,
right? But like any which way, I'm just like, well, I ask for this, and I see it on my timeline. Like,
yeah,
what? Fine.
How do you feel about the fact that I'm crying right now and you're not? Is that happening to you a lot?
No, I haven't been seeing too many people in person. I do see people like buck up in front of me, like, but like, that's fair. It's not like I haven't cried. Sometimes I feel like it's better to take turns. So when somebody else is crying,
well, you got next.
Yeah, I figure I'm like adding it up, and one day it's just gonna come at you, and you're just gonna this is just getting ready for that.
Yeah. I just said on the show today I had only cried those 6 times.
That was just that one day. You start over every day.
Yeah. Okay, so when you started telling people about the news, I know you went over the reactions, but was there anyone? So what we didn't hear about, basically, was there anyone that you were more nervous to tell? Is there anyone that you had to tell that you maybe weren't expecting that you would have to tell? Or is there anyone who, you know, was like, why didn't you tell me? I found out about it from this. You know what I mean? Like, how did the news kind of start to spread, I guess?
I was worried about you and Emmy.
Oh, yeah.
Because I think Emmy, you know, is like this tough person, but at the same time, she's going to be like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. Because, you know,
she's just going to be like, more shit.
Like, yeah, exactly. Like, just, it would feed on her, you know, of course, shitty things happen to like a nice person or something. And that'll be like the one time she decides to tell me that I'm nice. You know?
Yeah.
And so I didn't want to like bum you guys out. And then I was also worried about Danny because there was no super fair way to tell him without making it a big deal. And I hated that like Rosa was out of town, but I liked that like you were here and Emmy was here and that we went outside. I will tell you this that I keep meaning to say on the show. When I told Andrew, my brother, I was like, yeah, I'm going to tell Danny before the show because I feel like, you know, we work together and it's not fair to have him process that on the show. And he's pretty young too.
Oh, yeah. He's 24. I forget that sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I'm his employer for whatever that is. And so he goes, no, it would be a better show if you tell Danny on the show. And I go, I'll tell you what's going to be a better show when I tell on you on the show for saying shit like that about a human being.
Yeah, no kidding. So fucked up.
I was like, I get why you would think that, but we don't need Danny to feel like shit to have a good show.
Yeah.
Yeah. And even still, like you said on your show, he had like, 15 minutes to process that.
Right.
I figured also not only was that like the least dramatic way to tell him, but we do process well by poking at each other. And maybe that was good. And then he could sit with it a little bit later. I did ask you secretly to check on him, but I feel like we should all check on each other. Like,
yeah, we're all talking behind your back.
Yeah,
I mean,
good.
we're all taking care of each other, which is good. Yeah. My mom said, I said this on my show earlier too, but she said she felt like you delivered the news right to her, so you didn't have to look at Emmy or I.
I heard that, and I started thinking about it, and I was like, wow, I wonder, because I know that I was processed as like, I think I said to myself, don't look at one person more, or like, but that makes total sense to me.
Yeah.
If I had to bet, you know, her memory of only me looking at her, or my memory of like trying to keep cool with everybody, I'm going to go with her memory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's, it was just, there was no time to process. I know I had a few hours more than Danny for sure, but, you know, my mom's like, I don't want to worry my mom.
Yeah.
And I, you know, am going to work also. And I think that's why I cried so many times the next day, even though I also had to still work, because there was no time for anything to sink in. I mean, I don't remember, I think when you actually said the news, I was just silent and stone-faced. I don't think I had anything to say.
Yeah, and to me,
what do you say?
Right, it all makes sense. I was thinking maybe not to tell you guys while, like, we were supposed to have a nice brunch because, you know, we're meeting at Betsy for the first time and Mom, and I'm like, there's no way I can leave this out.
I was insulted that I didn't hear until Saturday. You knew the news since Thursday. We tell each other the most mundane shit the second it happens, and this was like,
but I tell you over a text, like I
totally get it. But like, okay, so here's something that I don't think we talked about on the show, but we didn't have a guest for that day. So it's not like we canceled and then, I mean, that worked out. You know, it worked out that all those people were on the show that day. It made sense, but we didn't have a guest. So sometimes we'll start last minute booking. I thought it would be fun to have Danny and I on because, you know, we've been doing my show together, and I was like, so I call you just thinking it's a normal, you know, call. And you're like, I have some personal stuff to talk about on the show.
Which makes sense after a weekend. Yeah.
Right. But also I'm kind of thinking like, okay, fine. Like, you know, that didn't necessarily raise a red flag, but you also were being a little cagey about it. And I'm like, what was thinking that you and Hennessy got in a fight maybe because you didn't say, and the personal stuff is, and normally I feel like you would, you know, because it's not like.
That was tough. I didn't know, you know, you're riding the line of like, making it dramatic by omitting things.
This is not to blame you, but I just think it's funny in retrospect because so you're sitting there and you know the information and I'm sitting there just being like, okay, so do you want us on the show or not? Like, and just like we normally would. Like,
I couldn't answer that because I didn't know how you were going to respond to this. You might not want to be on a show immediately after you heard this.
Right.
And so I was like, you know, we'll talk on Sunday.
And do I deal well with wishy-washy answers?
No, but, you know, you were busy with your family here, so I took advantage. I was just like, I'll just, you know, I have some stuff to talk about, so if you want to talk about it, you know, I'll let you know.
Right.
Blah, casual.
Right. It's just funny in retrospect. So, okay, so that was, you know, you're spreading the news. And did they schedule the biopsy right then?
No, I had to go into the doctor the next day, which seemed really ridiculous to me.
So then they scheduled it for you for Thursday, which was a week from the news.
Yeah, which not cool was one of the doctors who was about to do it was like, why did they schedule you a whole week? Why didn't they schedule you earlier? Then again, she caught herself like, you know what, we're here. And I'm like, everyone just decide what you're going to say.
Sorry, was this at the biopsy that they said that? And who was that? Was that a doctor or a nurse or?
The doctor. Okay. One of the doctors that was going in.
Okay, because I did actually, I asked my friend Casey, who's a doctor, shout out to her, patience of a saint, because I was just asking her question after question, and she was just like, I don't know until the biopsy comes in.
That's the thing.
And I knew that going in, but I just wanted to ask. And, you know, she told me a couple of helpful things, but like for the most part, but I told her about that and I didn't know that it was a doctor who said it. And she got pissed off because she's like, sometimes these, nurses or lab techs will say something like that and they have no idea, like, she's like, of course they're competent in their field, but there is a big difference between a doctor and I was like, okay, so just to me, I was thinking like, no offense to doctor or to nurses or lab techs or whoever, but I was kind of thinking like, oh, okay, it was someone running their mouth who didn't really know what they were saying. But you're saying it was a doctor who said, so they know.
It's the look on people's face, wondering how I'm breathing with this thing in me is no one should play poker. Like no one should. They will go broke. They are in the fine right line of work.
Yeah.
And
so
it's just...
We're jumping ahead to the biopsy a little bit. I still want to talk about the in-between time so between when the biopsy was scheduled and you actually got it, were you worried about the biopsy?
I was developing worry because all of a sudden me going into a biopsy required thoughts and prayers.
Right.
I had no idea people would be so interested in the biopsy. I thought the result and the waiting for a result was going to affect me and other people. But it seemed like a biopsy was now a full-blown operation that I was getting, all these responses. Then other stuff started coming in, like they could make a mistake. My lungs could collapse. They could spread it because they poke it in the wrong place. And I'm just like, what is happening? I thought a biopsy was just, poke, squish, the end.
Yeah.
And that is what it is. And so,
that is what it is. Yeah. I think
by the time I got in there, I was a ball of nerves because of this information. But the thing is every time somebody gave me some information that freaked me out, it also came with other information that I know I needed and I used later,
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't want people to not talk to me about it because it's very weird because people don't want to say the word biopsy. They don't want to say the word cancer. They don't want to talk about it, but it's all they want to talk about. And so I started recognizing it and I start bringing it up. If I see someone and they haven't heard, I'm just like, the biopsy went well, because they'll not finish their sentences. How was the, and I'm like, oh, the biopsy, it's a biopsy. Like nothing happened yet.
I think there's like a couple of things going on. One, I don't think that necessarily, some people were going like worst case scenario, extreme things, which is
very rare.
I don't think helpful. But I think that even though you maybe took it as like, oh, this is so serious because people are so concerned, I think people, and I mean, I'm sure people were coming at it from all different ways, but I think a lot of that is people just being concerned because it's the first step of whatever.
And I totally get that. And in my cynical statement back then, I'm still like, I still wanted it. I still needed it. I still turn on Facebook and I'm overwhelmed by it, so I don't respond to anybody, I haven't really responded to people in text or email or Facebook, but I'm just like, okay, that's there. And that it's so clear. All the cliche things, apply them to me. Seeing, people respond to me online, apply it. Yep. It's like food, and it's like it's really believing that people will be there because you buy it, because here they are when you said things might happen. They're already there.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I just got really paranoid that we weren't recording for some reason.
I could repeat all of this.
That's why I tuned out.
Verbatim.
But also, you don't have to respond to every single message that everybody sends you, right?
I feel like whatever I don't respond to, that's the way things happen.
Yeah.
And I'm just trying to, I think people are letting me get away with stuff like that, so I will. They get it.
Right, yeah.
Also, people are assuming that I'm getting thousands of this stuff. It's not thousands, but it's beautiful. It's hundreds. That's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah.
Did during that week too, were you anxious to get it over with, or were you not thinking about it that much before the biopsy?
This is terrible because I know that I'm not taking it seriously in my mind, and I appreciate my mind for doing it. I was like, well, thank God I don't have to change anything about my work schedule because they offered me Thursday and I have that off. So don't have to change anything. Don't have to think about it. I'm going to go about my week the way they said to go about it.
Okay.
Yeah. And my friends are funny, and this room is very funny. A lot of funny things happen, and that's fun. So,
yeah. I come into this room not feeling that great sometimes, and throughout the course of the show, often I will be in a better mood than when I came in.
Yeah.
And I try not to show it. I try not to bring like a bad mood to work, but
yeah, because we're at work still.
Yeah.
But it's a pretty good job.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The thing that I allowed myself to do last week is I dropped the ball on my email.
Mm-hmm.
I got to get back to a few people before this weekend is up, but I don't know. I guess it doesn't matter right now.
Yeah.
Pass.
So then you had the biopsy.
Yep.
So let's talk about that. Were
Smooth sailing.
Oh yeah. We were shocked. So it was Xerxes, Hennessy, and I at the hospital. And how did you feel like that day going into it?
I was kind of freaked.
Yeah.
I was like crying at the, blood person.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just like, that's what I'm doing. I'm
Mm-hmm.
crying right now. Because that's when they repeat it over and over again. Your lungs could collapse. Things could go wrong. Sign here that things could go wrong, and it's just like, and they're injecting me with this thing that I have to walk around with that's hanging from my arm so that they can put whatever schmutz they want in there later.
Yeah.
It's that, none of this is ideal for anybody.
Mm-hmm.
It's just gross. It's just needles in me, just walking around. I would be the worst crackhead. You're just like, do we have to do it this way?
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah, it's not pleasant. Did you have any preconceived notions about what it was going to be like? The biopsy experience.
Yeah, at first all the doctors were saying like, you're not going to remember it, but then everyone's telling me that I got to be awake for.
At what point did you find that out?
It's just on and off information.
Ugh.
You're not going to remember it. You're going to have to breathe for us a certain way, but you're going to be out because morphine's amazing.
Uh-huh.
But we're going to have to tell you when to stop breathing and hold your breath. And I'm like, all right, you know what? Just put the drip in and let's hope for the best, because this sounds like I'm going to be high as fuck, but needing to do precise breaths.
Right.
Well, I mean, I do some yoga, but my God.
Yeah, but then
That's when I'm like,
Mhm.
all right.
To jump around a little, I guess, or to jump to it then during it, I guess that's the magic of the drugs, right? You said
Yeah.
you said during it you weren't freaked, or like it was
Not really, but I was like, I cannot be breathing the way they want me to be breathing.
Mhm.
But they kept moving on. And I'm like, things are just happening. They'll make me breathe until they have all the information.
right.
Yeah. They want to do a good job.
Yeah.
So,
But like it was okay. You didn't feel like panic or anything during it.
yeah, it was great.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't feel high, but I didn't feel panicked.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And nothing was painful, or
Nope.
was it?
No,
Okay.
and they did a really good job at like blocking. I mean, it was right under my chin.
Mm-hmm.
They did a great job blocking it while, exposing me to whatever they needed me to be exposed.
Yeah.
That was magical. They were very, this is so nice. Like, your robe would open a little bit and they were very respectful of that. And I'm like, oh, I was giving up my body for science. I was like,
Right.
whatever part you need to look at, I'll shake it if you want.
Uh-huh. And then afterwards, do you remember the whole hospital, or were you still kind of like, you seemed pretty with it, but I don't know, with the drugs, I know they're still wearing off.
I didn't, I always, every time I was awake, I was like, okay, I'm awake now. And then 2 hours later, I'm like, oh, guess I fell asleep. It was kind of like that was the whole day.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just kind of losing time.
Yeah. When I was up, I could hear you. I remember that stuff. But then I'm just like, I think I'm a little,
Yeah.
like it was just,
You just zonk out.
yeah. Yeah. And I'm like, no, they're here. Like, they know that I could fall asleep because you have company. And I'm just like,
But it's
No,
not company.
it's okay.
Well, until, I mean, it was only family.
we'll talk about Hennessy, right?
I mean, yeah, I guess
Okay,
we should.
yeah.
Yeah, a lot of this. Do you want to save it for the end and do like
Whatever
a
you
chunk?
want to do.
I didn't really weave it in here.
We could do a chunk.
Okay, let's save it for the end.
People have to tell me if this is interesting because I could blab on about everything. So
Well, I'm interested and I know
Okay.
most of this, so
Okay.
I think it's interesting so far.
All
But
right.
yeah, definitely. Let us know. Obviously. So I have. Was anything painful? How weird are people being towards you? Is that
well, nothing was painful.
Mhm.
Nothing was.
you're not in any pain now?
Nope. I was, you start getting a little freaked out because they warn you about a lot of things. So you check for it. Like, do I feel it or am I looking to feel it? But and then
You've been riding your bike to work.
I rode my bike, yeah. And that was all of those things are nerve wracking. Well, they said I could be normal, but what if like I'm 5 seconds away from like them not, them telling me I should stop being normal. I don't, it seems like it's affecting me a lot, but I'm just going to do the things they say.
You have to, because I think that they err on the side of caution, you know? So it's like, if they're saying that it's okay, then it's okay. I mean, you should listen to your body. You know, if you're feeling exhausted, don't push yourself to ride your bike or something like that. But like at the same time,
not trying to be a bike hero. But I did not do my full yoga today because I'm nervous about the
squeezing the grapefruit.
I am.
Yeah.
And even Hennessy said like, we crack each other's backs by pushing on him. And I haven't asked him to do it because I know that he mentioned something one time in passing that he's afraid that he's squishing it when he does that. And I'm like, I just won't ask for it.
Yeah.
So I know that that's not what's happening, or they would have warned me about hugs even.
Right. Yeah.
But I didn't do my full yoga. I figure like, there's a little caution and a little,
you got to do what feels right. You got to live your life, but also, proceed with caution. Like better safe than sorry, I think is a good rule of thumb for now.
Some of it's a bug out. Like when I inhale deep, I could feel it. When I sneeze, my sneezes are different now because I can't inhale all the way because it fucking hurts. And then I'm like, well, that's not normal. That could be a hint, but I don't know when all this started.
Right.
I know it started before this biopsy and before I went to the hospital, but you always think it's like a passing thing, or you laid on your rib too much. I mean, people like break their ribs, they seem fine. So, all those things.
Do you want to hear what Casey said about how long it could have been there? I asked her that.
I'm guessing a year.
Okay. She said it could have been there since you were born. She said it could have been there since you were a kid. She said they have no idea until they know what it is.
There it is.
So.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I don't think it started last month.
No, probably not.
Yeah. It's amazing how long something like that could be there.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's like, I think that's part of the reason I would imagine why they're like shocked because of the size of it, because it's like, how do you not notice that? But if there's no symptoms, what are you to notice? You know what I mean? It's not like you're constantly, it's not like you can feel it from the outside and you're.
But it's bizarre that you can't.
Yeah, it's weird. I don't see space in you for a grapefruit.
Right. So we don't we're just like layman stupid people. And we're like, where's the grapefruit?
Right. Well, show me the grapefruit.
You said it was the size of grapefruit, and I don't see extra grapefruit on one side.
Right.
Yeah. But Mayron was fucking staring.
Oh my God.
I couldn't believe it. I'm like, is it showing? Yeah. Jesus.
But so you haven't been coughing though. Is that because of the inhaler? You haven't been coughing as much, not as noticeably.
Nope, I haven't, which is such a relief. But sometimes I do. But no, that's the thing that goes away. So I'm fine, and I bike to work, which means my heart rate got up a little bit, and then I start thinking like, how does my heart have room to beat bigger? What am I doing? And then I'm like, they told me I could ride my bike. Yeah.
So you just got to go with that. Yeah. Did they say it's pressing up against your heart too, or just it's squishing your lung?
Yeah, they said it's moving both of them.
Okay.
Moving it to make room for itself. This bitch. Yeah, sure.
That's
my
so
heart.
rude.
I know, it could just happen. I cannot wait to see how long I could hold a note after this thing is gone. Because I'm going to sing my face off. I got to go to, I hate karaoke, but that might have to be something.
Right. Yeah, well, is that before or after the triathlon?
Oh, that's a good point. I don't know.
So you're feeling pretty good physically.
Yes.
Emotionally, how are you feeling? With
good. I think good. I think like, I haven't broken down. I'm trying to anticipate that it will be okay when I do. Thursday is a day that constantly, so I'm sort of like holding it for Thursday. And Thursday's going to probably be bad.
Now, okay, so a couple of things about Thursday.
Hopefully I'll be hiking.
You're planning on going hiking on Thursday? What if you can't get cell reception?
That's okay. I'll hear the news when I come back. I'm not going to pick up my phone while I'm up there.
Yeah.
I guess is stupid. I'll give them another emergency contact, I guess. Well, but if I'm not going to pick up my phone.
Well, so
It's
why
2
do you
hours.
think it's Thursday?
Because it'll be by Thursday.
Well, they said that you can call if you don't hear by the end of next week, which is Friday, technically.
Nah, then it's Friday, but I think Thursday.
Okay.
Somebody said Thursday. They said 5 to 7 business days.
No, but the most recent, and this is when you were zonked out of it, is they said, I put Friday in my calendar.
Okay.
I mean...
Then it's Friday. Then good, because the shit about it is I anticipate going to emergency surgery immediately. And like to start, I have to be ready for, okay, we found what it is. Let's hurry up. Because I think that's a possibility. So do I have to cancel,
Okay, so I kind of didn't want to talk about this because it's a real fucking bummer, but here we are. This is part of it.
Yeah.
Camping is coming up. It's, the best time of year. It's my personal happy place.
It's Lynn's birthday.
It's, it's a
Sucks for him.
It's a big event. And that is, I almost, not that you don't, well, who wants to hear the news? But initially when they said they were saying like 5 to 7 business days, I was doing the math and it's so close to camping that like they probably can't even schedule anything right away anyways because it's a weekend and like we might be able to just get away with it. Yeah. But now the results are coming, okay, Thursday or Friday, whatever. I think it's the 5th or the 6th.
Yeah, but I have to be ready for the 5th, 6th, or 7th. I'm in a hospital somewhere.
Right.
So I don't know.
So camping is, we're supposed to leave the 9th.
I'm doubting that I can do that.
Yeah.
Something's going to have to start by then. Because it's not, do I have to deal with this or not? It's how do I have to deal with this? So I can't imagine that they're like, but let's wait until after your husband's birthday and your annual camping trip. I don't think that's happening. But I'm not completely...
Yeah.
I refuse to say I'm not going. But fuck.
Yeah.
Perfect year, though. Again, stupid silver lining that I might lose later, but perfect year. This year, I was like, I don't think I could manage doing the trip on my own anymore. And Xerxes happened to be cool with picking it up. So he's putting it together, which means it's going to happen without me, which is the best case scenario.
Yeah, I thought of that too. It's good that you're not planning it. It worked out.
Yeah.
So are you thinking about it all the time? Is it something that you think about the second you wake up, or do you forget about it and then someone brings it up?
No, I'm thinking about it.
You're thinking about it all the time.
Yeah, the last couple of nights I've like freaked myself out right before I went to sleep, and I'm like, well, stop doing that. Just like, why am I not considering that death is a possibility? And then I'm like, because I could feel it now, like just, where are you going with this? And just, you start thinking negatively, and I'm just like, none of this is going to help.
Right.
So on Thursday, I get to be more accurate about the negative thoughts. Let's wait till then.
Yeah. It's so easy to say like, well, that's when the results are coming in. Sure. That's when we can have a plan. That's when we can think about,
But people are being really sympathetic about that. Nobody's acting like that's like, well, we'll just have to wait. Like, no problem. Everyone's like, that sucks.
No, but it's almost like, it's almost something that you want. Like, well, let me just wait until then, because there's no new information coming until then. So it would be nice if we could just almost be like put it on pause, but that's not how your brain works.
Yeah. It's as much on pause. Like I'm okay with the level of pause that I'm on. Like I'm also, excuse me, burping. I'm also a little bit on a dim, which I think is my brain
kind of cocooning,
surviving.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't want to think about this yet. So I am dimming it a little bit.
But there is kind of no point of what is there, like when you're thinking about it, are you thinking about how you're going to get through it? Are you thinking about different possibilities? Like,
I think I've thought of everything. And so, but it hasn't, none of it has led into a a very horrible place.
That's good.
Because I'm waiting for it.
Yeah. You mentioned death.
Yeah.
Are you, first of all, well, has any doctor said anything?
No.
They haven't said anything about like it could be
terminal?
Yeah.
No, that I haven't heard that word at all.
Mm-hmm. So, well, you said something on the show on Keith and the Girl about you didn't even think that could be a possibility until someone was like, or until people started saying like, you're not going to die, you know, sort of thing. So did that start you thinking about it?
Yeah. And I had to stop doing that.
Yeah.
That's a bad idea.
Mm-hmm.
But I could, if I need to, wrap my brain around it where I am right now, but nobody knows. But I'm going to wait until it's not fucktard 55 on the forums that tells me I'm going to die.
Sure.
I'll wait for the doctors. I really do think, and I hate like putting a positive spin on everything because it's annoying sometimes. It's like, this is going to suck. It's going to suck. Like,
and it's allowed to suck. Yeah.
Yeah. But the fact that it is in one place really, like, that was the one thing that I saw was very truthful on the doctors' faces. They were very relieved by that.
Yeah.
And that seemed to be a very, very big deal. I'm going to go with that.
Yeah. That's good.
I'm gonna hold on to that.
And the fact that you're healthy and young.
Yeah. That makes me feel good that was for a reason. This is going to happen anyway because it was going to happen anyway. Mm-hmm. And so that I didn't destroy my body where I have to work from that place.
Right.
I'll take it.
Yeah. I mean, take what you can get, right? Like at least you're in a good position to go into whatever it is, whether it's surgery or chemo or whatever.
Yeah.
So you mentioned the triathlon, you mentioned karaoke. Do you have a bucket list? Have you been like
I get to go to a steakhouse.
Nice.
Probably if I can before the surgery or it never feels like it's a good time to go have a steak right now. So I'm just gonna, that's loosey goosey.
Mm-hmm.
I want to do KTG camp. It's such a good idea in my head.
It's a great idea outside of your head too.
This is like something that I think I've worked up for in Keith and the Girl. Like, I know that we're comedy, but I think our camp, it would be like a 3-day adult camp. Mm-hmm. I have ideas for who, is going to come, what kind of entertainment will happen. It'll be very laid back. I have such good ideas. T-shirts, tank tops, I was at the first KTG camp, things like that. I know that everything's going to be okay when we have enough of a strength in the show after all this is done that I could feel confident to quote selling that idea, where people are going to be behind me and it's going to, because it's like putting together a festival, but I think I know how to do it. This has been spinning in my head for a year or two.
Yeah.
So
I'm into it.
Is that what you meant by that question?
Yeah. Yeah, please promote your future. That's obviously what I meant. That's what you heard, you psycho. Speaking of which, have any of these jokes, because we are harsh jokers in the best of circumstances, has anything hit you wrong?
They've been so funny. It's been like so funny that I'm proud of everybody. Just like, yes.
I think people have been really stepping up their game because the thing is like you can't, it's going to lay so flat if you joke about this and it's like a nothing. It's like, you better bring it. Yep. And then the more fucked up, the better, because it's going to like.
It's ridiculous. What are you telling, death jokes? I can die tomorrow. Ooh, here's the thing about me and death right now, right? So I'm just like, I'm about to go through it, right? And then I've been more careful in my real life because I refuse to die on something else right now.
That's so funny.
I know.
You mentioned something today, I think, that I was like, I swear to God, if you die of that, like, well, she's always tripping over everything, and I'm like, if you fucking crack your skull open right now because you are not paying attention to your surroundings, like, that's just gonna be straight stupid.
Yeah. Like not today. No. Yeah. I'm going to do this. and then we'll deal with other ways to die.
Right.
Like, no. So that's funny. I've been more conscious.
That's funny.
No, and not just because like I found a new, thing on life.
Yeah.
Just like, no, that's not what's, no, I'm not going to trip and no, it's going to be like this already.
Right. No, that makes complete sense to me.
Well, you're psychotic too.
Right. Well, that's why we're friends. Oh yeah. Has there been any reaction? I mean, you have a lot of, you have like a tight knit, close circle and your friends and family. And then it gets bigger and bigger circles because you are, a public figure. Like,
yeah.
So I imagine, and correct me if I'm wrong, that the stuff from the outer circles is easier to filter in one way or another because you don't know those people. Or is it all just hitting you depending on the day?
Everything's been great. The response has been amazing. It's like, I gotta read you this thing.
Okay.
Like, there's been surprising, like, I suddenly heard from FMOS for years. And this is only people who have been listening since before show 1000, which is the last time we saw him.
Wow.
And pretty much, I think the last time I've heard from him, if I'm not getting it, wrong.
And we're on 2400 something, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've not heard from him. I didn't click on his message yet because you can't
So
mark
it was a
as
Facebook message?
It was text, and you can't mark it as unread, so I'm afraid to not get to it.
Okay.
And then, people like Adam Brown, where, Adam I met through Keith while we were dating. And this is somebody that could have easily taken sides, for lack of better terms. And he wouldn't even have to take sides. We would all have to just, continue about our life. Here he is. First he texts, hey, sorry to hear what you've been going through. And he sends positive vibes. And his whole family is here from my whole family. And like, all this stuff. And then, I didn't get a chance to respond to him. A couple of days later, he goes, heard the Mateo Lane show talking about lasagna. That's what we were going to bring. I smell a lasagna off. Yes. And I'm like, oh, fuck yeah, that's my dream come true. And I said, also, thank you for the love and support. It means a lot to me. And then he goes, if he's coming with less than 4 cheeses, he better work. And then he goes on to say, how long we've been friends and, to not be shy about asking because he really does want to be there and, him and Young. And, I've been getting messages like that from people who, moved to LA that I haven't been seeing in a while, or it's like, it feels like everybody. So that's why I'm saying no one's giving me a chance to be upset, because there's nothing to be upset about. I'm living a normal life so far.
I just think it goes to show like what a good person you are, because everyone, I know, but
shut your face. Shut your whole face.
Because it's not, I mean, everyone's going to rally, everyone has some sort of support system or people that are going to rally around them.
Who's not going to click like on a cancer post?
Yeah, but this is like for real, like for real support. Like the only way I can deal with things is to make lists and send emails.
Oh my God, your list was precious as all fuck.
I made
it's on my fridge.
I sent about 5 emails of that length, just of various goings-ons that you don't have to worry yourself about, of just like research and plans and backup plans, and we can do things this way, and these are tools we can use, and like that made me feel better.
Yeah. But it was really nice.
But I just like, people are checking on me. Like that's how that much support you have, is like, I just think that our circle is so good to each other, and I'm really grateful lucky that everyone is checking on each other, and it's like no man is left behind. Like everyone has someone to reach out to, and even like Xerxes and I don't like text that much or anything, but it's like if I need to talk to him about this, he's there. There's like everyone is stepping up. Like
it's so cliche. Again, all the cliche things, which I think is lucky, right? Because you also know what to expect. But this is the family that I created. I'm not just saying that. I really truly believe that. I do think that you can and should pick your family, whether that means picking your actual, biological family or whoever you grew up with, whatever that means to you. You can pick them again. It's like getting remarried.
Yeah.
pick the people, and then it's going to be real. Like,
Yeah.
how amazing is that?
Yeah.
And I didn't have to grow up in Minnesota.
You should be so lucky.
To freeze my face off, the games you played with ice. I don't know.
Whatever.
I come from sand.
Yeah, we are polar opposites. It's amazing that we get along somehow. Yeah, I think that's a very New York thing too. Is like, I mean, it's not just New York, but I think because everyone, comes to New York very independently often. Like, I think it is like, I'm going to pick now who I hang out with. A lot of people.
There's such a hustle. A lot of the people that we know have to have 2 jobs in order to pursue something that they're very interested in. So the lack of time as an adult, when you recognize that you're making these decisions to feel a certain way because you're about to hang out with someone, you stop wanting to feel a certain way and start naturally going, hopefully, to the things that make you feel better.
Yeah, if you have 1 free day a week, you're not going to waste it on people that you barely give a shit about.
Hell no.
Yeah.
You got to sometimes travel to Brooklyn for that shit.
Right.
Brooklyn.
Yeah. So you mentioned family, and you're currently estranged from your parents.
Yes.
You have a really good relationship with both your brothers, and they're lovely wives. You have 2 amazing sister-in-laws.
The best sister-in-laws.
Marisol and Olivia.
How did that happen?
God, just to like...
What the hell?
I don't know. So we were all on Maui together for your wedding, and it was just like, it felt like a family vacation, and I had never met Andrew or Olivia. Obviously, I'd met Michael and Maricela, but...
I'm the best one, right?
You're all exactly the same.
It's all of us just asking you if we're the best ones.
Yeah, basically. Exactly. But it was like, how often does that happen that many people can all get along and not drive each other nuts and all pitch in and like...
That could have easily been terrible.
Yeah, it was amazing. But so you're estranged from your parents. Do you think you'll talk to them? First of all, do you know... Okay, so we had talked about on the show that they're not going to get the news until after the biopsy, and then one of the brothers is going to tell them. Are you expecting a phone call?
Yes.
Are you going to pick up the phone call?
No.
Are you at any point going to?
I don't know.
I know you can't predict, but are you feeling any certain way about it? Yeah,
I'm feeling like they have and they can very much pressure me into picking up the phone. I understand that, these are human beings with feelings and this is going to up their feeling dose. And in a perfect world, I would like for them to acknowledge that they suck, and then we can move on from there. So I don't know how to deal with it unless they do that. Like, I don't know how to pick up the phone and be like, oh, you care. I don't even think that I can fake that well enough for me to answer the phone and to have that continue to be a part of my life. It's a part that doesn't happen anymore because I've grown out of talking to you because you need I can't. No.
Well, you didn't get estranged out of nowhere. It wasn't like you had some stupid fight and then you never spoke to them again. It was there was a lot behind it. There was a lot of baggage. There was a lot of
think about how much it took for me to stop talking to anybody. Patrice, I had to find out she was stealing. Like, there was other shit that I wasn't very happy with Patrice about, but like, people's personalities are people's personalities. She, competed with me. That's okay. I feel like that can happen to a human being, but, and I don't have to engage in that, but you're stealing from me. That's a line. Or you fucking spray paint my walls. That's a line, and I have seen him since, and I don't respond quickly to these kinds of things because they take a lot of thought. And so for me to not be talking to you, that's got to be something.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You give more than enough chances. Like,
that's it. So that means my body is rejecting you. My heart's rejecting you, and there's no way of talking to you. So I don't know how to pick up that call.
Right. So... I don't know really much about them. Would they leave a voicemail? Like, is that,
yeah.
And then are you going to listen to it? Would that be tempting? Will you not care? You know,
I think I'll listen to it.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be like, yo, my daughter, hey, we're worried about you. They'll speak a little bit in Hebrew. Then it'll be my dad. Oh, these are good predictions. Let's see if this comes through. My dad will call on behalf of my mother, like, you know, don't worry about me, but this is your mother sort of thing. And I'm just like, oh, are we worried about my mother together now? You know what I mean? Like, what? Yeah. When this kind of thing is the thing that you want to talk to me about, like solely, and, you know, this is what wakes you up. You didn't think I would die?
Right. It's very strange to go from, I mean, you could have gotten hit by a bus, you know, like
everyone you either remember that.
You
don't wait.
That's true.
That's
like just
stupid. I could have died 2 days ago.
Yeah. I mean, just a sidebar, and I said this to you, you know, in real life, not just into a microphone.
Wait, why? Where are we?
I know, who cares? We aren't recording, so I'm going to say it again. I am very glad, you know, Chemda and I, mostly we just say mean things to each other because of how much we love each other. But every once in a while, we will express a real feeling. And it just so happened that happened like fairly recently, where we had like just a really good hang. And, you know, you texted me like, I'm really glad you're in my life. And, you know, it was before any of this happened. And, you know, I felt the same way, obviously, and said so. And I was just glad that had happened before this happened, because you should say those things when something horrific isn't happening, because it's not that you shouldn't say those things when horrific things are happening, because like you said, you're getting this wave of love and that's welcomed and appreciated. But I bet those people loved you before now, you know? So why not say? Just say. It costs you nothing, you know? Like, and it's
Text
nice.
it. Then you don't have to look at someone.
Exactly. That's shout out to Chemda. She can't deal.
I can't deal.
That's okay. You can say it however you can say it. I say it in list form.
In an Excel spreadsheet.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, we're exactly the same.
Anyhow, I just thought of this, and not that it would happen, but what if they didn't call? Would that upset you?
I'm very surprised how little it's on my mind.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm surprised. And maybe that'll increase. But I find it bullshit. Like, I do the shitty sibling thing. Like, oh, I guess my brother impregnated his wife, which they're doing. So you can fly out 18, 20 hours to go see them. But I, have milestones in my life that you didn't even, not even on your radar. So I don't know, easily people can get pregnant. What the fuck? What? But when I picture, sometimes I want to be like, the feeling of like, I just want my mommy. And I'm like, I want to try to have that feeling, but my mommy doesn't know how to do that. She knows how to do other things like cook and clean, but that's not what I'm looking for. It's not what I'm looking for in a mother.
Yeah. Again, there's a reason you have the relationship you have, or lack of.
Yeah, she's not mommying me. I'm not gonna get mommied if I talk to her, though I crave it sometimes. Like, everybody could use that.
Yeah.
Just like pet me like a little baby. Tell me everything's okay.
Yeah.
You'll take care of it. Okay. Night night. But I have Hennessy for that.
I was just going to say, let's talk about Hennessy.
Who loves me more than this person?
Nobody.
I mean, you can't.
Yeah, I mean, when you talk about support, like.
Jesus Christ.
You have a great,
holy shit,
web and a great net, whatever the least creepy way to put it is.
Yeah.
We're going to web around you in a cocoon. How do you think Hennessy is handling this? Which I want to tell you, my mom said a really sweet thing, which was like, she told me you got to check up on Hennessy because she's like, and I'm like, you don't think I fucking know that? But she's like, a lot of times it's harder on the caregiver.
Yeah.
Because.
This is when I cry.
Because the person going through it, Keith made me move the Kleenex earlier. So I blame Keith for this.
It's fine. But he's very particular about where things are. My desk drives him crazy. Bless his heart. That's the one thing that I'm sure he would slit my throat for. But he's managed. Like, this is, you know how he talks about the cabinet doors open? This keeps him up at night. And I'm just, ugh.
He's fine. He'll deal.
Hey, you wanna clean your desk, Chemda? And I'm like, oh, yeah. Don't do it.
You know, I'm letting you, I'm not, you know.
Yeah. We're doing this. All right.
So Hennessy.
Okay. He is internalizing all of this. He would stab himself directly in the heart if it means that any part of this would go away, even if it's just half of it.
Yeah.
He would eat it for dinner if it made it go away, like all this shit. But he also has mental issues. And so I'm afraid that he'll bottle it up. So I also have been telling people, like, you know, I need for him to talk to people outside of me being around so he could be like, what if she's dead? You know, like,
yeah.
I know he's going all those places. I know he's pictured me in like horrific, his imagination is.
There's no way that his brain is allowing him to do the same thing that your brain is doing, which is block it out in a way. Like, there's no way.
Nope. It's not happening. And I know that he feels like he needs to stay calm for me. And in a way, like, yeah, that's true. You know, we can't freak out. There's nothing to be freaked out about, but I know he is. And so, he's like, I'm going to do everything. You're going to be like a princess. You won't have to do anything. Everything's going to be as comfortable as comfort could be. And then I'm just like, okay, can I have some water? And he's like, absolutely. He goes in the kitchen and then like fucking 20 minutes later, I'm just like, holy shit.
And this is totally normal.
Totally normal. And I'm just like, so right now, if I go, hey, where's my water? He's the worst person in the world.
Right.
And then, like, you know, just of all the things. And I said I would be the best. And I'm just like, oh, Jesus. So I like sneak in the kitchen. I'm just like, hey, just coming in for a pee, you know, and go pee. And then like start taking water. And then it dawns on him that he told me 20 minutes ago he's getting water. And then I see him start going there, then stop because he knows that he's going to put it on me if he starts going there. And then I'm like, oh, fuck. That's going to accumulate. So that's why when we were in the hospital, I was like, did you talk to him? Talk to him when I'm not around. Like,
oh, yeah. I
know he's going to get mad at people. Oh, he got mad at the person on the forums. I'm like,
right.
Who cares about this fucking asshole? But, you know, you're telling someone's husband that their wife is dead. Good morning.
Yeah.
Fuck. They can't feel it. Like he wants to know how I feel internally, you know? Chill out.
I don't think I've really had a chance to tell you this because I was just saying I haven't seen you by yourself. So this is how we're having conversations now. I'll say it into the microphone. Xerxes and I, you know, we're hanging out with Hennessy during the day and he definitely needed to blow off steam. Like he hadn't eaten that day, you know, and these are things, you know, I am good at keeping Hennessy on track. So like, I feel like, you know, and Xerxes is good. Hennessy said this on the show today. Like Xerxes is a good chill energy and I'm not chill, but I'm good at what I do. You know, like I keep the trains running. I got him to his show on time. I made sure he had something to eat. Like I felt good about that. And he needs to freak out. He needs to, you know, he needs to say he's worried without thinking it's going to worry you. Yeah. But again, like we are all here for him also. You know, it's not like we're just like
but he wants to be a hero and not in like a shitty, you know, for his glory, for like as much as he can do, he wants to do, but it's like let's just focus on what you can do. Right. Just fucking get me water. Yeah. Go get the water and focus until I have it in my hand.
I don't know if you remember this.
It's such a shitty thing to say.
Right. It's focusing is not his strong suit in that way. Like, he's good at a lot of things, but going to a straight line to the sink and coming back, it's not his forte necessarily.
No, but now he's setting timers for himself and he's making me pills that, you know, I don't want to argue with him, but like, let's just, everything's all right. I'll take your pills.
It was funny the other night when I was over, this was before the biopsy. I was like, can I do anything? Because we were just hanging out in the kitchen and it was me and him and Xerxes. And he was like, you could do the dishes. And I'm like, okay. And so I go to do the dishes because so we're hanging out. Like, I'm still in the kitchen. I'm still in a part of the conversation. What do I give a shit? I offered. And he goes, but I'm really just taking advantage of you now. And his reasoning being like, nothing's happening. Chemda's not, you weren't even there. I think you were at a show or something. Like it was, it was nothing had happened that day. It was, but I'm like, but meanwhile, he is making you pills. He's stressed out of his mind. It's like, you're not taking advantage. It's like, that's something that I can do to take off your plate. Like you have to everyone has to let people help you, which I am the biggest, fucking hypocrite because.
Well, we all are, right?
We all are because none of us wants to be a burden on anyone else. But I mean, that's the only way anyone's going to get through something like this is by, we have to it's like you said, we have to take turns burdening each other.
Yeah. It's just, oof.
Go ahead.
I don't know. Thursday, man. That's gonna. We're gonna take some turns.
Are you? Did they say now? Well, okay. So what I heard was that if you don't hear from us by Friday, you should call. So are you expecting a call, or did they say anything about having to go in?
Oh, I don't know. I think I expect a call.
And do you think they would deliver that whatever news over the phone?
I think they might. I think if they want to expedite some stuff, which I think they might want to, I think they're going to do it the way they do it.
Yeah.
And so I'm ready. So if it's not Thursday, then Friday. And I'll call on Friday if they don't call me.
Right.
But I'm like, a 20-minute subway ride from there. If they want me to come in, I'll just come in. Again, my schedule for Thursday and Friday is very good. Mm-hmm. So.
Yeah, I scheduled a coffee date for not a romantic date. Don't worry, everybody. Just a friend date on Saturday. And as I was doing it, I was like, because the day's been Friday in my head. So I'm like, I might not want to have coffee that day, but
you should.
Yeah. So I scheduled it. I was like,
yeah. That's another thing is people are. Not telling me shit that's did I say this already? They're not telling me shit that's happening in their life because it's less of a thing than their thing. Who wants to talk about my tumor all day long? Right. Let's talk about your dumb shit.
Yeah. But at the same time, I mean, you have to understand why someone wouldn't want to say, like,
sure,
who wants to
but
be.
I love stories.
I know you love stories, but it feels weird to complain about something when you have a thing that you can't control that you have the most right to complain about. You know what I mean? Whereas a lot of times, problems, everyone has problems and everyone has legitimate problems at varying levels. But at the same time, a lot of problems are self-inflicted in a way. Like, if you're in a bad relationship, your friends get tired of hearing about it because it's like, well, you're staying in that relationship. Stop talking to me about it.
Yeah, there's a limit to what people can do.
Right.
Yeah.
So people are, if their problem is at a 5, your problem it seems like it might be a 10. It's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard to go to someone and be like, yeah, but listen to we don't want to pull a Mayron and listen to the day I've had.
I would like to announce I want to listen to the day that you've had because I'm on repeat with the day that I'm having. Right. And I imagine it's going to get pretty damn repetitive. Mm-hmm. So get your stories ready. And I would like them in audio or video form because I don't like reading so much. I wish I did. I would be a better speller.
I've noticed, and maybe I'm the one who's being weird and reading into it, but I feel like the last couple of times I've seen you, I've just been like, hey, how's it going? How you feeling? To me, just like casually, but I feel like you're like, think it's
how
nervous, or like I would normally ask you, how's it going? Like.
Yeah, I guess it sounds like an update. And I'm like, I don't know, nothing to update. I feel
right.
good.
And I'm just like, okay, so now I don't know, like
okay.
I'm trying to be normal and you're like brushing me off. And it's like.
But that happened today. you and I see each other a lot, so I need to recognize that could be a casual "How you doing?" But today the guests came in, they're like, "How you doing?" I'm like, "I'm good," and then I realize they're asking me again, and they're looking me dead in the eye. How you doing? I'm like, "Oh, the biopsy went well. I'm not in any pain." Like blah blah blah. So I guess I got to learn how to differentiate between "How you doing?" and "How you doing?"
I guess. Speaking of which, what is the best way for people to act? Just normal?
Yeah, normal.
So people want to know, like you said, but they don't necessarily want to ask. I'm sure, speaking of repetitive, it's going to get old having to relay the information all the time. I mean, you can, put status updates on Facebook and we're doing this and stuff like that, I think will help alleviate that somewhat. But at the same time, do you not want people to ask? You know what I mean?
I think ask, because I want to know where you stand, where you know things, because everything's public, and because I am going to be putting stuff on Facebook, so it doesn't have to be repetitive. Yeah, but I don't mind.
It hasn't gotten tiring having to say anything so far.
No, because I haven't been saying much, and I don't think I get bothered with it. I think I talk for a living for a reason. Yeah, I could talk for days, so I don't mind. And if we're talking face to face, most likely, I planned that. Right. So let's talk about it. And I also don't know how much you know. So if you can tell me how much you know, so I don't repeat it in your face. So I don't think. So you could say I know about your biopsy. I want to know about that. Then if you could be specific, then I could know where to start. Right. Because I don't expect for everybody to know my life, but just let me know. Yeah. We'll talk about it.
Well, that's good that's not, and also obviously, you're free to change your mind on that, or you can have a day where you're like, I don't want to talk about this.
Yeah, I figure none of this could possibly be staying this way. There's no such thing as a Zen state of mind throughout all of this.
But there's no such thing as a Zen state of mind throughout your entire life. You're not Zen every day of your life right now. So there's going to be good days and bad days, just like there always is good days and bad days.
Yeah. And I have some really good music. The song Ganesha also. Should we do song recommendations on this show?
Oh, sure. Let's just Jack Danny's show. I felt like a lot of today's Keith and the Girl was plagiarized from my episode, but that's fine.
Oh, you finally found our format. Yeah. It finally is what I wanted it to be. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. This is everything that I just said is what's happening right now.
Well, that's why we're doing this. Yeah. Stay tuned.
Yeah. Why don't you guys guess which episode I'll be a monster at?
Oh, yeah. I keep wondering, I don't want to... I spend a lot of time at your house. Yeah. You mentioned I slept over the other day. I have keys. I am very comfortable there.
God, I wish I can give everybody keys. No offense. You're very special. But, I don't want to get up to get the door. Yes. Go lock my door on the way out. Why can't, if we all just got along, doors could just be open. Yeah. Okay, hippie shit, continue. Yeah.
So I'm wondering... Okay, and we can go back to Hennessy for a minute because, we were saying on the day of your biopsy.
Oh, yeah, he invites everybody over.
Okay. So it was all family there, and I'm including myself in that. But
and you know what? It's not that he invited everybody over. People volunteered. I don't think he invited anybody.
You don't think?
I don't fucking know. But people were like, hey, should I come over? And I think he just goes, yeah. And it's well, they mean, should I come over because you need something? And then I felt like I was wasting a lot of people's time. And then I was like, we're sitting around smoking. What else do we do? Who cares?
Yeah, that's not the issue.
But he needs to be a little more efficient with that.
It was chaotic, but we also have to give him a pass for, so.
That's how he was dealing. He had to go to a play that day.
Yeah. I can't imagine.
He didn't want to do that. He wanted to be the one to get my water and get my things. And so I think he thought the more people, the less it would be burden on one person and the more love I would feel and whatever it is. But he's a little munchkin face.
Yeah, it's all coming from a good place. Yeah. But did you know so there was already Marisol and Michael, me and Emmy were there.
Xerxes.
Well, this is before. So there's 4 of us there, and then you, obviously. So there's 5 people in the, living room. And then Hennessy comes home from the play, and it's him and 3 other people.
Yeah.
So did he give you a heads up that they were coming? I mean, you were, like you said, you were kind of in and out of it.
Yeah, I don't remember when I got the heads up. Okay. But this is what I mean by it's good that it's happening at this time in my life. I very much know how to not give a shit a lot. Like, you really shouldn't come over to my house if you don't want to, and if you don't have the time. We are adults. If we really need it, we'll like SOS it. You know what I mean? But if you're there, I have to assume like there's something about it that you want to do. And sometimes I have to convince myself of that. But when you just like falling asleep because you had morphine, it's a little bit easier to just be like, well, I guess I'm sleeping. So
right.
I'm falling asleep. So this thought has to finish later.
Yeah. But my original point was I expect there to be a time where you're just like, you don't want to see anybody. Like, you just want to not have a house full of people. Like,
when I'm sick, like when I'm physically sick and I'm throwing, if that happens and I actually physically can't talk to anybody, if Land is there, I probably want to be by myself.
Yeah.
And so this way I could make the throw up sounds, and I don't want to do that in front of everybody.
Of course. Yeah.
Just for what?
Yeah.
Then I'm going to hear the chatting stop because everyone's like, hope she's okay.
Right.
There's like, if I'm sick and I can't hang, then that's enough. Unless Hennessy needs people around, because I could throw up and then he could, join you guys when I pass out for 2 hours. If that helps his sanity,
Or what if he has to go to work? Like, somebody's going to have to be there.
What's up, Libby?
I don't know if you want me to say this, but
what?
I have had a lot of sick people in my family.
Yeah. Heard about you. You're in.
Yeah, it doesn't, which is why I was bossing everyone around, which obviously, anyone who's gone camping knows that I don't mind, but I did feel bad, telling Maricela, like, you shouldn't be putting those jalapenos in the soup and stuff. But I just think, like, better safe than sorry. Yeah. It's one day, like.
Yeah, it's fine.
But what I told you is that because I've seen it all, blood, throw up, whatever, I've wiped family members' butts. I don't care. Like,
I'm into it.
So, whatever, that's not going to be the thing. Like,
I feel the same way. You're gonna, if you're gonna shit yourself, I'll wipe your ass.
Yeah.
Who gives a shit?
Yeah.
What's gonna happen?
Right.
I see your butt.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I know the shape.
Right.
Yep. There it is.
Okay. So I think just, coming to the end of my notes here, unless there's anything you want to add at the moment, but.
Thank you to everybody. It's amazing. Amazing.
Good. I'm glad. So what helps, what has helped so far, and what would help going forward? Like, you put out a call for, babies and people responded. Like,
yeah. Thank you for giving me a break. I will neglect to respond to people.
Yeah.
As like, even if I diligently get back to people, I know I'm going to neglect something. So thank you for being okay with that. Make my show popular.
Yeah.
That's a very creepy, weird request. Maybe it sounds like from the other end of this, but I lose my job when people stop listening. So if we accumulate more listeners, then I will have a little bit more leeway to not worry about what I'm coming back to. And also, I'm not leaving yet.
Yeah.
Not leaving yet.
Is anyone acting like you're dying? Like right now? Have anyone been weird about that? Like,
No, nothing direct except for that guy, that one guy saying goodbye to me awkwardly. I'm gonna ghost. I don't like these goodbyes. Really awkward. Yeah, it's so weird. Tell people about my show, and also like, don't be scared of me. Like, I get why you'd be scared.
Yeah.
And you can like my post and not ask me any questions about it. It's okay that and don't want to talk about it. Like, you don't want to like it because then you're like, then I'm going to talk. You can't just like a heavy post and then not reach out. You don't have to reach out personally. I could feel all of it.
Yeah. And so where can people find your show? Keepingthegirl.com or ktg.com.
Yeah, share it. Do that. Yeah, be good to Hennessy. You know, please don't tell him I'm going to die. Tell someone else. Even if it's true, let it happen. You predicted it. Write it somewhere else. You know, mail it to yourself. You could show us when it's over.
Yeah.
That's not something Hennessy will appreciate. Keith will enjoy that later when you could bet on it. Save it. Read the room. Come on. Be a good person. Yeah.
All right. So listen to the show. Spread the word.
Yes.
And
be good to me
and
Hennessy and my friends.
And stay tuned.
Yes.
What's my name show.com